Venturing deep into the depths of the forest alone at night can be horrifying.
What the fuck?
But what happens when you encounter someone or something you'd rather never meet?
I want you one.
Today, we're diving into 30 of the most terrifying forest encounters ever recorded. GROWLER. While camping in the forest, man begins to experience some pretty terrifying events simultaneously, and someone, or something, even tries to get into his tent. Take a look. At first, YouTuber Cursed Urban is sitting around a campfire, having a good chat when all of a sudden, he hears a deep-throated, guttural growl from deep within the heart of the forest.
Oh!
It's enough to shake him pretty bad, but he eventually manages to get some sleep. But not for long. He's awoken to some other strange sounds, this time right in front of his tent.
What the fuck? Dude, what is that? I just heard something loud. Definitely loud.
It sounds like he's not alone, but once he gets out to explore, he isn't able to locate the source. But what he does notice is that one of his camping chairs has seemingly moved on its own accord.
Whoa, wait a second. Dude, what the My camping chair's...
When he goes back to catch the footage on the trail cam, he confirms the camping chair definitely moved on its own.
Holy
For some reason, the man decides to stay after all of that, and he eventually is able to get some sleep once again. But it's short-lived, because obviously it is not his lucky day. The camera manages to capture someone rubbing their hand or face over the outside surface of the tent, and the man wakes up just as soon as this begins to happen. He quickly attempts to spot the perpetrator, but again, there's no one in the campsite vicinity. He does decide that's his last straw, however, as he packs up his campsite in the middle of the night, never to return. Dangerous encounter. A man riding his motorbike through the pitch-black wilderness when he runs into the very definition of stranger danger. Take a look. It starts as a typical ride through the woods, but problems arise when his map begins dysfunctioning.
I don't think my map is working. I keep spinning around and it's not showing me.
As he stops and tries to get it working again, he hears a man yell something unintelligible in the distance.
I'm like... Oh, that was weird.
It spooks him, but he kicks his bike and continues onward. The sound of the man yelling follows him as he reaches a dead end.
Dead end?
As he turns back around, he sees a man walking the other way, seemingly following him. The man is brandishing an axe and hitting random trees with it, appearing to be most likely drunk or high off of something. The biker makes the wise move to get out of Dodge, and fast, too.
Okay, I'm gonna get out of here.
All good. All good. All good.
To this day, he has not thought of returning to that specific trail. Smart man.
All good. All good. All good.
The face. While out in the heart of a Mexican forest, a group of friends stumble upon an abandoned building lying dormant, right in the middle of nowhere. What they see is bound to change your brain chemistry. Take a look. The footage shows the camera panning across the span of the building, But as soon as it hits one of the windows, a strange and extremely eerie face emerges from the window pane. It looks like a man with pale skin and hollow, abnormal eyes. What this is, we have no idea. The video is short, sure, but the nightmare fuel is long burning. Is this some fancy trick of the light, or does it have a more insidious intention? Close your eyes, try to picture that face again. Yeah, whatever it is, one thing is sure. Sometimes it pays to stay inside. Phantom Menace. Another video deep in the heart of Appalachia. Two friends experience a night they won't soon forget. Watch. The video begins innocently enough. Two good friends sharing in the brisk night air, listening to nothing but the sounds of silence. Hiking is supposed to be relaxing, remember? As they continue up their path, one of the men begins to hear strange noises coming from the left of the trail.
All right, so we just did some Bigfoot calls.
He calls for his buddy, who's just always up, and swears he sees something big up in the brush.
Come here, man. Come here. Come here. There's something here. There's a trail. There was something big up there, man.
Really? How far?
There's clearly some kind of trail laid out by some wildlife, so the two decide to follow it. That's probably not their smartest move. As the two continue up this trodden trail, they encounter something that stops them right in their tracks.
Do you see eyes or like the two little things at the bottom?
Right, yeah.
What is that?
Whoa.
Is it moving?
Did I just see a person?
The two claim to see some kind of figure moving out in the trees, but they claim they might just be seeing things.
I don't know. I didn't see
Maybe
it.
it
I
was
looking at those two
I wonder if it
little
was a
things.
light anomaly. I don't know. That was creepy.
Suddenly, a big tree branch breaks right in front of them, immediately followed by the sound of a rock hitting wood.
Man, I just heard something fall through this. Hey. Shh.
The two make a run for it and manage to escape, but barely.
Was that a rock? What was that?
After the two catch their breath, they go totally dark, turning off all light to avoid being seen. But whatever is stalking them isn't ready to give up, as the noises keep coming closer and closer, gaining ground on the two.
I swear I just heard like a twig. Grab my light, turn your light off.
They do make it back to their RV in time and vow never to return right then and there, probably for the best.
Man, I just heard something fall through this. Hey. Shh. Go. Was that a rock? What was that?
Gunshot. Camping alone is almost exclusively one of the worst ideas you can have, and this next clip lays that truth bare. The premise is no surprise. A man, the woods, and his camera. The setting, nighttime, when all the ghouls and ghosts come out to play. Except, in this case, these are not ghosts, and they definitely have a gun. See for yourself. As he's walking through the forest, all nonchalant, when all of a sudden, he hears gunshots sounding out in the far distance.
I hear.
He hears one, and then another loud bang immediately follows it.
I hear it's coming from over there.
For whatever reason, the man continues on, heading back to his tent to get some shut-eye.
So good night. See you in a couple hours.
He sleeps through the night like a rock, but upon checking his footage, he sees that he's had a few visitors in the night, as one of them decides to shine a flashlight directly in his tent. The pair of strangers mumble to each other, possibly coordinating a robbery. though the voices are pretty hushed and hard to make out. The thing about closing your eyes is, it makes you a sitting duck. Luckily, this guy made it out with his neck, but perhaps he won't be so lucky next time. Backseat Demon. On the way back from their campsite, a group of friends notice something isn't quite right with the car in front of them. Just watch. The dashcam footage captures what looks to be a strange human with long black hair and glowing white eyes making weird and erratic movements from the backseat of the car.
Padre cielo que estás en lo nuestro.
The figure seems to be in some kind of distress, looking as if it is attempting to escape or something. A lot of people seem to point out that it might be trying to warn the driver of the car behind something, but that's a little bit of a stretch. It definitely seems like it could simply be a prank. It could even be a child and it's just a trick of the light. But one thing's for certain, it's not something you're going to forget anytime soon.
Padre cielo que estás en lo nuestro.
Freaky Forest. The problem with camping in the woods is that you're really not ever certain if you're ever really truly alone. You might think you are, but then something so eerie happens that'll make you question everything. Just like the guy in this next clip. Take a look. Just as a camper is about to hit the hay, he begins to hear strange occurrences happening just outside his tent. Leaves are crunching and branches breaking are seemingly occurring all around him. He's curious about the noise, asking if someone's there.
So there?
He doesn't get an answer, but he opens the tent door to confirm that he isn't going to be someone or something's victim. He then begins to hear a strange thumping occurring, along with a loud, menacing snap.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? It was definitely a thump. Right? Right, I'm gonna turn the taste off from the NRT. The f***? Did you hear that?
Again, he asks if there's anyone around, but there's nothing but winded silence in return.
I'll fish it there.
What could this have been? Something as simple as a nocturnal animal, curious to a new scene in their storied woods? Or was this man about to become a serial killer's next victim? That's the thing about the forest. You never really know.
Right, I'm gonna turn the taste off from the NRT. The f***? Did you hear that? Did you
Devil's Ravine. Anyone on a solo camping trip in a place called the Devil's Ravine should be expecting the worst. And perhaps he did, but we doubt he ever expected this. Watch. A Russian man named Tim is well known for his solo camping adventures across the globe. Most of them are uneventful, but in this one, he manages to capture something pretty sinister. As Tim is fast asleep in his tent, he's awoken to a disturbingly loud growl. It seems pretty similar to that of a moose, but still, something you don't necessarily want to hear alone in the dead of the night. The noises occur again, but this time, he hears some movement directly outside of his tent. He decides to go explore the perimeter of the campsite, hoping to find the source of the noise. As he goes further into the wintry forest, he hears yet another growl, this one much more guttural and sinister than the last.
Блин, сейчас совсем рядом было.
Whatever it is roars yet again, but Tim isn't able to find who or what is making the sounds. Time goes on, and Tim decides to try to go back to camp. But as he does, the growler comes back with a vengeance, sounding as if it is coming from right beside him. Tim, understandably terrified, runs back to his tent, only to decide later to return to home. Smart move, Tim. Panther problems. A man decides to spend his well-earned vacation time to rest and relax. But little did he know, Mother Nature had something else in store for him. Take a look. As he's trying to catch some well-earned sleep, he is suddenly disturbed by a low animal growl, deep and guttural, sounding as if it is very hungry. It's absolutely a blank panther lurking carefully around the campsite. The man remains calm, which is more than some can claim. He lays absolutely still, hoping the panther is quick to leave, hoping to not give him a reason to become panther food. The panther, thankfully, does manage to leave the campsite, leaving a weary man with a pounding heartbeat and a desire to spend his next vacation indoors. Better Bigfoot. The following footage contains what some people claim to be the most realistic evidence of Bigfoot's existence. But if you have eyes, you can see for yourself. Take a look. The footage begins in a densely populated forest somewhere in Russia around the year 2016. It's daytime, the birds are singing, the wind is blowing, and everything seems to be as normal as it can be until it isn't. Suddenly, a massive creature comes jumping from out of nowhere. Leaping and running with absolute haste, it's obviously covered with hair, and its frame is indeed massive and hulking. It's hard to believe it's some sort of costume, as it would be hard to fake just how gigantic the creature seems to be. We all know Bigfoot and how somewhat elusive he can be, but we also know just how many times his existence is faked. What do you think of this? Bigfoot or Big Dud? Let us know down below. The explosion. This next one is tricky as there are no translations of the content being shared, but most of the time, horror transcends language more often than not. Let's take a look. What we can gather is simple enough. A man alone in the forest, doing what most do on this channel, mind their own business, trying to have a restorative night in nature. That is, until he begins to hear this strange ambient droning, growing louder and more erratic. Then come voices, desperate and angry. The voices are definitely male, and it's obvious that the man in the video is terrified. As the hiker moves through the forest, he stops to breathe, but is soon met with what sounds like a woman whistling or laughing. It's hard to tell. Then, out of nowhere, someone fires either a gun or a large firework not too far from where the man is. Terrified, he makes a run for it, and we can confirm he did indeed make it out with his life intact. It serves as a good reminder. Be careful out there, folks. Danger, danger. On remote hike through the Colombian wilderness, a little girl makes contact with something she'll not soon forget. Take a look. While on a group hike through a foggy forest, a little girl comes face to face with an infant mountain lion. The two are staring each other down intently, both attempting to dissect the situation and see which one makes a move first. Luckily, they both seem to be afraid of each other, which serves them both well in this situation. The hesitation lasts for mere moments, but thankfully, nothing happens, and both made it out without a scratch. But with one wrong move, that video could have ended much worse. Hidden figures. A grandfather decides to make his granddaughter's dream come true by setting up a trail cam in his backyard in order for her to see all of the local animals that stop by Grandpa's house. But little does he know, he's about to give his granddaughter nothing but nightmares. Take a look. When the grandfather goes to review his footage, he captures some typical Bambis and some thumpers, some raccoons and foxes, but that's not all he captures. Around 3 a.m., the devil's hour, Grandpa catches a wispy figure moving erratically across the screen. The shape appears out of nowhere and seems to pace around the property nervously. It eventually turns, notices the camera, then grows curious, getting closer and closer to it. The figure seems to be wearing what looks like a mask of some kind, and it has bright, glowing white eyes. It looks human, but there's no accounting for why it's as transparent as a ghost. The footage is eerie, there's no doubt about it, but it leaves us to wonder, what was that thing, and what the heck did it want with Grandpa? Alien encounter? A group of teenage boys are spending the night in a remote forest when something, say, extraterrestrial, begins to occur. Look, the hiking trip begins normally at first, but as the group makes their way through the rocky terrain, they begin to spot a bunch of strange light play happening not too far ahead of them.
Oh, what is that light?
Oh, there's a light over there.
Yo, what the hell?
Curiously, as they move closer, they confirm there's two strange light anomalies, one higher up towards the trees and one lower to the ground.
What is that? Yo!
A little later on in the evening, the group is making their way back to their car when they encounter what looks to be a strange, alien-like figure emerging from the shadows ahead.
It's definitely coming from over here somewhere.
Honestly, what the f?
The figure is initially hard to make out, but it comes from the left side, looking as if it materialized out of nowhere. For now, their experience remains unexplained.
It's definitely coming from over here somewhere.
Honestly, what the f?
Box Hill. While solo camping in a deconstructed van, a man thinks he's living out his nomadic dreams. But oh, how quickly those dreams can turn into pure nightmare. Take a look. After an exhausting day of hiking, he is fast asleep, sawing Z's and getting that good old-fashioned REM sleep when he is suddenly awoken to the sounds of humans screaming. It's unlike anything you've heard before, and one thing is definitely for certain. These sounds sure ain't no animal. No, this is human, and the more you listen to the sounds over and over, the more alarming they become. It initially sounds as if someone is being tortured, or at the very least, in trouble. The sounds continue for what feels like decades, and the man in his remodeled van is powerless to it. All he can do is sit there and listen. The man eventually turns the camera and confesses he's not about to get very much sleep that night. We would agree with him.
I don't think I'm going to be getting much sleep tonight.
Strange sounds. This one will have you playing and replaying over and over again, just to make sure you heard correctly. Listen. 2 men are out in the Oklahoman wilderness on a job site, and they begin to hear strange, eerie noises populating all around them. These noises aren't your typical forest noises. No, there's something much more sinister afoot. These noises initially start off as a loud, ambient drone and crescendo into what sounds like sound effects from a horror movie. Long, pitched-down sounds and ambient brown noise surround them, growing louder, then waning into nothing. Every time you listen again, you'll hear something different than you did before. The YouTube comments are full of people saying that they too live in this area, and those noises still occur. No one has been able to prove an adequate reason to their existence, and it seems like nobody in the area has ever really gotten used to it. The theories range from the gates of hell to alien nuclear tests, but that's a YouTube comment section for you. What do you make of these strange sounds? Let us know down below. The shaman. You could be doing nothing, minding your own business, and suddenly something so strange happens, you'll end up longing for a life before it. Just like this next guy. Watch. The first minutes of the video are explaining how he's readying for today's hike, what kind of gear he's got along, and how difficult the hike will be. One he says is definitely not for beginners. He seems to be all fine and good until much later on during his hike. He begins to hear some strange yelling coming out of nowhere. One of the house sounds where it doesn't really sound like it's coming from anywhere at all. He's taken aback, but before he even really is able to think, an arrow comes speeding towards him, hitting the tree right where he was taking shelter. The vlogger claims that this is some kind of shaman protecting the forest, though the translation might be wrong. Whatever it is, he vows never to return. UBIN Island. On Palau UBIN Island in Singapore, a man attempts to contact some spirits, mostly to prove they aren't real, but he leaves the island a very changed man. Take a look. This large island features several graveyards that appear to be abandoned, as well as a deep lore about the paranormal mysteries that are said to haunt the island. As he makes his way through the lush trophies of the island, he begins to feel very uneasy and hit with a wave of nausea he can't seem to overcome. Out of nowhere, his cameraman begins to hear what sounds like music being played.
Okay, I think that's about it lah. I just...
music too.
Yeah, I hear music too. Okay, let's get out of here.
Even though they are quite always away from the nearest village. As he's reading the grave's inscription, they both begin to hear what sounds like an old man singing, coming from not too far off in the distance. It's hard to hear at first, but as the two make their way back to their bicycles, the music gets louder and louder as time goes on.
Or like radio, I don't know.
And though the two attempt to rationalize the noise, they are not able to find its origins. The two of them leave quickly, panicked, maybe a little more convinced of the paranormal than he was only 24 hours ago. You're dead. A pair of bored friends decide to try out Randonautica, an app that sends users random coordinates to go explore. Sounds safe, right? Well, take a look at what happened with these guys. Initially just wanting a bit of a laugh, the two pursue the coordinates that lead them to a playground, desolate and eerie in the middle of the night. As soon as the two arrive, both feel this strange, uneasy feeling as if they are being watched. But before either guy can express their unease to one another, one random, disembodied voice can be heard saying, "You're fucking dead."
What the fuck? No!
The two quickly leave and decide later on that being bored is definitely better than being dead.
What the fuck? No!
Axe Lady. That's the thing about the forest. Sometimes you see a fox and her babies drinking from a babbling brook. Other times you see an unwell lady brandishing a sharp axe. There's just no in between. But don't believe us, take a look for yourselves. A group of European boys are out in the forest, spending some valuable time together before school begins. The camping trip was as innocent as they come. S'mores, swimming in the river, and having good laughs between great friends. But as they head back to their tent, they hear an eerie scream somewhere in the dark of the night, sounding as if it is coming from a woman not too far off from where they are. The screams continue, sounding as if the woman, wherever she is in trouble or in pain. Certainly one of the two, based on how terrifying her screams sound. The boys, now with a little pep in their step, continue on, hoping to get back to their tent as fast as possible. But as soon as they speed up, they are met with the sight of a woman dressed in a flowing white dress, brandishing a sharp axe, waving around hastily above her head.
Hello? Hello?
This time, the boys explode into a heavy sprint, hoping to leave the woman behind, right where they found her, in fact.
Hello? What the? What the? Hey!
It's unsure if she follows them, but she continues to scream heavily. They make it back to their tent, only to call the local police. Later on, when the police arrive, they arrest the woman, and though the boys have attempted to check on her well-being, no one cares to update them. This should serve as a reminder. Be very careful out there with what lurks in the woods, because most things you should be scared of often walk on just two legs.
Hello? 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 What the? What the? Hey!
Tornado trouble. There's nobody you should be scared of more than Mother Nature, just because of the sheer power and destruction she possesses. This next video is a great example of why she should really be your #1 fear always. Take a look. While out camping, a man and his family are enjoying a beautiful vacation in the heart of a beautiful forest. But weather can change on a whim, and what went from a beautiful sunny day turned into a terrible nightmare when the father receives a tornado warning from his cell phone, urging everyone to take shelter.
Severe thunderstorm warning. Mobile coverage area, take cover immediately if threatening.
Now, being outside is the last place you'd want to be, so the family tries their best to build a shelter out of logs and sticks, hoping to avoid the brunt of the storm. They're unfortunately trapped in the heart of the forest, unable to reach their car in time, so a makeshift shelter is all they can do. At first, the wind picks up, rocking the nearby brush with a great localized force.
That's on you! Tornado! Tornado!
Then, suddenly, trees are falling down around the family everywhere, being uprooted in real time.
Stay low! Stay low! Stay low! Stay low! Stay! Stay! Stay low!
The family prays to God, hoping they can survive the terrible weather they cannot escape from.
Please, no baby!
C'est good, on est good!
On est good? But sir, 100% sir!
Please, God, please, please!
God, s'il vous plaît!
S'il vous plaît!
Oh my God, no!
Luckily for them, the storm is short-lived, and they do in fact make it out alive. But let this be a lesson to everyone. You never know when nature is going to turn on you, And while ghosts and creatures and cryptids can be scary, nature can happen in the blink of an eye.
Stay low! Stay low! Stay low! Stay! Stay! Stay low!
Round of applause. When a man decides to check out a forest that locals refuse to venture into, he encounters something that might change his life forever. Just watch as he's catching some steps on a blustery fall day, hoping to catch something on camera. He initially comes up with nothing. It isn't until he heads back to his car when strange things start occurring. At first, he hears whistling somewhere in the distance, though most locals are afraid of this particular forest.
Heard some whistling, but yeah, I think today I'm gonna try and go a little bit further, the best I can.
Whistling unafraid hikers isn't out of the ordinary, but still, the hair on his arms are standing at perfect attention as he becomes weary that someone or something is watching him.
I don't know. The hell was that? I straight up heard movement behind me.
He turns around, scanning his perimeter, and is still unable to see anyone. Later, he hears a full-bodied whistle, sounding as if someone is attempting to call their dog back.
I swear to God, I just heard something already. I don't see anybody.
This alarms the man, and he takes off running, hoping to avoid whoever's there. As he finds an embankment to hide under, the man is met with the sounds of someone clapping.
I knew there was someone here. Okay. Oh.
This is his last straw, as he musters up his energy to run back to the car, hoping to escape whatever that was. Howling. The following video is short and sweet, but the scare factor is off the charts. Even though the footage contains unsettling, almost blood-curdling screams, we take pride in trying to identify a real-life explanation before settling on something initially sinister. But after reading several comments and listening to many animal yells and howls, this one seems to be entirely misplaced, as we can't identify the strange howling happening here. It's eerie, as nobody wants to hear noises like this, just as dusk is about to break into night, and your car is a good 15 minutes away. Tell us, what do you make of these noises? Do you have a more logical explanation? As always, let us know down below. Lady in White. A woman is in her backyard, rounding up her chickens for the evening, when she sees something she can't quite put her finger on, but perhaps you can. Watch. The footage captures her backyard, which happens to be a densely wooded forest. Initially, she hears this strange, low growl, idling somewhere between a growl and a very small and meek moan. She's surely creeped out, feeling as if she's being watched. Everything around her is heightened as her heart beats faster and faster. Uncertain as to what's going to happen next, you can actually hear her become fairly breathless in the video, her breathing becoming erratic and nervous simultaneously. As she pans her camera across the landscape, she notices a figure in the distance, tucked away behind one of the trees. It's a tall figure, dressed all in white, and it seems to be standing entirely still. Perhaps the source of the moaning heard all around the glen. What do you think this is exactly? A paranormal presence? Or someone who's just lost their way? You be the judge. strange creature. When going out exploring with your friends, the last thing you expect to find is some interdimensional looking humanoid, right? Well, these next friends did, and they barely lived to tell the tale. Watch. The footage features what looks to be a strange, slug-like alien humanoid doing weird movements against the ground. Whatever it is, it seems to be caught in its own thoughts, as it doesn't notice that it's being filmed. Some suggests it looks like a dog, but that's not it. Others say a monkey, but it doesn't really look like that either. So what is it? Well, your guess is as good as ours, but count this as another check in the reasons I should stay inside column. Extraterrestrial. Take me to your forest? This next clip is absolutely out of this world and not in the way that you'd think. Better take a look. From the little context we could find, this occurs somewhere in the Australian outback, more known for its terrifying and deadly insects more than its alien encounters. But as a group of friends are exploring the terrain, they happen upon a strange creature lurking almost directly in front of them.
Standing right there.
Whatever it is, it's much taller than the brush it's standing in and seems to have a weirdly elongated head with little beady black eyes. It seems to stare at the group, uncertain what kind of move to make next. Initially believing it to be a prank, the group beckons the creature, asking it what it wants and what it's doing.
What do you want?
But the creature seems to be scared off as it lurks away weirdly into the night.
Why are you walking away?
Well, what do you think? A prank or a one-on-one showdown with an alien species? You know the drill. Let us know down below.
What do you want? Why are you walking away?
Snake show. You're on a daytime hike and you discover a wild boa constrictor. Are you sticking around or getting the heck out of Dodge? Well, this next guy sticks around, only to find out that snakes are best left alone. Take a look. The footage captures the obviously scared and trepid snake hissing and rearing its fangs, ready to strike at any given moment.
Ever wondered what an angry boa constrictor looks and sounds like? This is what it is.
The guy in the video keeps his distance, but his curiosity has certainly got the better of him. The snake follows the man carefully, keeping his beady little eyes fixated on his every move. Once the man makes a closer move, the snake lurches forward, and the man found out the consequences of his actions. The end. The hand. Right as he and his dogs are getting ready to hit the hay, one stranger decides they are not quite ready for bedtime. Watch. The man and his dog are simply recounting the day's activities, ready to get started on the fun-filled day ahead, but also extremely exhausted from the day's long hike up a very remote trail. As soon as he finished vlogging, he turns off his lights, but before laying down, he begins to hear what sounds like branches breaking heavily to the left. He decides to turn the light back on and waits for further noise, but there's nothing.
There we go.
He decides it's nothing but wind. As he's going to take his medication, a stranger's hand punches right through the middle of the tent. Terrifying the man and the dog, the tent collapses and the two make it out, but are unable to find the source of the hand that did the deed. This is when he decides it's time to go home. Good idea. Shadow play. A family is having dinner at their summer cabin, ready to chow down on some delicious eats and treats, when one of the youngest kids swears he sees something moving outside the window. Take a look. The footage begins initially pretty normal, just a picturesque view of a lush green forest, framed by a simple kitchen window. With the family gathered around, waiting to see what the youngest initially saw, they wouldn't have to wait for too long for it to happen again, as a black shadow figure comes running across the frame, seemingly manifesting out of nowhere.
No. What is that?
It appears a few more times, the running shadow back and forth, but eventually the shadow disappears almost as fast as it came. There's no update from the family or another follow-up video to go on, so we can only hope they did the smart thing. They moved.
No. What is that?
Ghost on camera. You know when a video starts off with a Ouija board, it's never gonna be good. Or it's going to be good for you, the casual viewer, because of the fun scares. But usually not for the person doing said seance. Take a look. The clip begins with a man consulting spirits, bathed in a terrifying green glow. As he's consulting the board, a figure moves slowly in the background, as if answering the man's call.
Духи этого леса.
But that's not all. The man has taken his Ouija games back to his tent, and as he's again at the board's beck and call, the shot glass he uses to navigate the numbers moves, seemingly on its own accord. Later, the same man is exploring the forest surrounding him, this time attempting to locate the source of the noises he's been hearing after the Ouija debacle.
Я не знаю.
As he's moving through the forest, the man hears a branch break loudly to his left. Upon checking the other trail camera near the source of the noise, he catches exactly what made the noise. A clothed figure running fast through the frame. As he continues exploring, he manages to capture the same figure, this time running directly in front of him. Quite the visit this is turning out to be, right? This last incident seems to be his last, as the next segment of the video begins with him packing up his things. He must have had enough. Don't say we blame him. Stay scared.